How to eat corn. Rohan originally planned to eat with a knife and fork, but he suddenly stopped, cause the correct way to eat was to use his hands directly. This was a strange mansion, where the butler would kneel to greet guests, but guests were also required to place their shoes in a designated spot, and even the placement of the teacup had to be accurate to the centimeter. However, if you followed all the rules correctly, you could inherit the mansion. Looking at the ordinary tea on the table, Rohan suggested Lisa check online to see how to do it, but Lisa didn't care, because she thought it was too simple. Just as she was about to take a sip, the butler suddenly entered, informing them that they had already violated etiquette from the moment they entered. Lisa had already made 3 mistakes. First, the guest should sit in the seat facing the door, waiting in the lower seat before meeting the host. Second, stepping on the edges of the tatami is not allowed. She had stepped on the edge of the floor when she entered. Most importantly, when the tea table is lower than the knees, it's fine to pick up the teacup along with the saucer, but Lisa's posture when holding the cup was very improper. The correct way was like this, so the butler suggested they leave, but Lisa refused to give up, hoping the butler would give her another chance. The butler didn't say anything, he just went to inform the host. Rohan felt uneasy and wanted to leave, but Lisa, blinded by her desire, insisted on staying, hoping to win the mansion. At that moment, Rohan suddenly felt something was wrong in his pocket, and Lisa's phone rang. When she answered the call, her face turned pale with fear. It turned out that Lisa's parents had been in a car accident, and even the little bird Rohan had found on the roadside had been in an accident. At that moment, Lisa completely broke down, but just then, the butler appeared again, telling them the test could continue. Rohan felt even more uneasy, and without hesitation, he summoned his stand. After seeing the memories, he realized that the owner of the mansion was a mountain god. This meant that these accidents were divine punishments. Every time they violated etiquette, they lost something precious. Of course, looking into someone else's memory was also a breach of etiquette, so Rohan would also be punished. As he was thinking, Lisa suddenly collapsed on the floor, her body trembling uncontrollably. Meanwhile, the butler calmly brought a corn cob, saying that only Rohan could eat it correctly to prevent his companion from dying of heart failure. Just as Rohan was about to pick up the knife and fork, he realized this was the most proper way to eat.
この岸辺露伴を舐めるなよ。ナイフとかフォークとか箸だとか引っ掛ける気が満々なアイテムがプンプン匂うぜ。わざとらしすぎる。
But the butler himself violated the etiquette, because he had stepped on the tatami earlier. In fact, when Rohan checked the butler's memory, he had given him an order. Now, no matter how the butler walked, he would always step on the edge of the floor. Even the mountain god's butler was so rude, so the mountain god couldn't punish them anymore. He allowed Lisa to wake up, but afraid of being punished by the mountain god, the butler invited Rohan to play again. However, Rohan immediately left. As they were leaving the mansion, the little bird that had died earlier revived, and likely, Lisa's parents were still alive.